Raider Nation, make sure you subscribe for my Raiders versus Washington football team watch party tomorrow. It's going to be electric. I'm going to be bringing the environment of a tailgate party like you saw in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and in Oakland. I don't want you to miss it, so go ahead and subscribe. Raider Nation, what's going on? You guys are watching the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to give you my 5 keys to victory up against the Washington football team. If the season were to end today, Washington, in fact, would be in the playoffs despite having a 5-6 record. Kind of wish at times Raiders were in the NFC. But then you got the Raiders over there with a 6-5 record. The over-under, as I am making this video, it is set right now at 50. The spread has gone up and down. The Raiders actually started off as a -2.5-point favorite, and now they are -3-point favorites. So what you guys are going to see are my keys to victory, and I don't really have these ranked in any particular order. We're just going to go from 1 all the way down to 5. My first, though, let Derek Carr cook. Mitch, what the heck does that mean? Is Derek Carr a chef on the side? I mean, he might be. I don't know. But this means I want Derek throwing the football as much as humanly possible. The strength of Washington's defense is those big dudes up front, defensive tackles, Jonathan Allen, and then Daron Payne. For whatever reason, this defense the last 3 weeks seems like it's gotten a little bit better without Chase Young. But this stat, I'm not simply saying it's like, oh, when Derek throws for over 300 yards, the Raiders are guaranteed to win. But I do think there's some correlation here. The Raiders have a better passing attack. The offensive line has been better this season pass blocking. So when the Raiders throw more and DC's aggressive and gets that mojo and gets that swagger going, the Raiders win more football games. And then when you look at the entire season here for Carr, 17 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, which, you know, I was hoping for a little bit better of a touchdown to interception ratio. But this guy leads the NFL with 3,414 passing yards. At the end of the day, I want to win and lose games on one of my best players. And right now, the best player on offense, when the offense is moving at its best, believe it or not, it is Derek Carr. So give me a number here, guys. How many passing yards will Carr have versus the Washington football team? I know I've asked this question before on Twitter and on Instagram this week at MitchellRenz365, but most of the answers I've been getting are over 300. Seriously, take a guess. Give me a number. Carr passing yards against the Washington football team. My next key to victory, and I always just want to look at this and say WTF. It just sits and haunts me. Score in the red zone. Well, no shit, Mitch, right? I mean, this has been the Raiders' problem realistically the last 3 years, whether it was with John Gruden, whether it's with Greg Olsen, and it's still kind of an issue with Derek Carr. When you talk about their red zone touchdown scoring percentage, the fact that they are tied 28th with, I believe, the Detroit Lions, breaking news. Anytime you're tied with the Detroit Lions in an offensive statistic, that's usually not a good thing. But you're only scoring on 50% of your red zone chances. The Raiders have done a phenomenal job this season getting to the red zone. In fact, they're 6th in total yards per game. Can you see why I'm a little bit frustrated? The fact that they're not top 20 in total points per game, but they're 6th in total yards, that needs to change, and it really starts with Derek Carr. One person who you've been hearing a lot about this week, and we've definitely brought him up a few times here on the Raiders Report, is Marcus Mariota. I don't know what the infatuation is with Mariota package, but sooner or later, I want to see it out there on the field. Sounds kind of weird to say out loud. Maybe the security starts rushing on because they think there's a streaker with the Mariota package. But you just want to be a little bit different. You got to be a little bit more creative. I'm not saying start Mariota. I'm not saying put him in every time the Raiders hit the red zone. But I'm saying if it's a 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, or if you're just trying to do something a little bit different, don't be afraid to throw out the Mariota package. I'm going to tell you one more player that I want the Raiders to use in the red zone, but first, I got an awesome deal going on here. Head on over to chatsports.com/Raiders sale. My bosses at Chat Sports told me that this Raiders gear is selling more than any other team gear that we are doing here at Chat Sports. So, great job, but that also means if you see anything on screen, and there's hundreds of different t-shirts, sweatshirts, winter hats, regular hats, sweatpants, like all this amazing stuff. Heck, they even have sneakers, Raiders helmets as well. If you want it, guys, you got to get your hands on it now because I just checked before I did this show. And there was like so many things that were almost gone. You better get it now. It's kind of like when you're shopping for a plane ticket and there's like, oh shit, there's 2 seats left. I got to go ahead and get this. So go to chatsports.com/Raiders sale. For whatever reason, if you can't see that link that's literally right below me, right above my Mariota package, then you can go ahead and find it in the comments. You can also find it in the description. It's chatsports.com/Raiders sale. The next player who I really want to see used in the red zone and realistically just saw on the field a little bit more in this game, Foster Moreau. He's been an absolute touchdown machine since he's come out of LSU. I mean, his first year in the NFL, he had 5 touchdowns. Then second year, obviously dealt with some injuries. And now you're sitting there, he's got 3 touchdowns this season. But when I really talk about Foster, he's going to have opportunities. And good news here is Darren Waller's knee injury doesn't seem to be as serious as when he went down holding his knee. The bad news is he's probably not going to be playing this week up against the football team, which means more snaps for Foster, which hopefully means a guaranteed Raiders win because right now Las Vegas, they are 6-0 and Moreau plays more than 25 snaps. So Carr 6-0 when he chucks it over 300 yards. Moreau 6-0 when he plays over 25 snaps. The recipe for a Raiders win, obviously, is letting Carr just throw to Foster as much times as humanly possible. Now, I am obviously kidding a little bit in that, but I do think that I want to see Foster involved a little bit more in this offense. So out of the 2 players that I just mentioned that I want to see in the red zone, who do you think is going to have a bigger impact NFL Week 13 up against the football team? If you think it's Mariota, I want you to go ahead and type 8. If you think it's going to be Foster, type 87. My next key to victory against the football team, which you guys just get a freaking name already, use DeSean Jackson. And I'm not sitting out here saying he should have the most wide receiver snaps because that's not really how I pictured Jackson being the most effective. Happy birthday to him because when I'm filming this, it's actually his birthday. The dude's turning 35 years old. But DeSean's one of these guys where if he's out there on the field too much, he's going to lose that burst. He's going to lose that speed, which is why he has less snaps than Hunter Renfrow, has less snaps than Zay Jones. But when he's out there on the field, I want to see him going sideline to sideline. I want to see him moving all over the football field and take a few shots deep. I thought what Derek Carr and the Raiders did this past week up against the Dallas Cowboys, which I'm still riding that high living down here in Dallas, they used him effectively. He had 3 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. That 56-yarder to the house, if anybody thought for a second that dude still can't run, guess what? You're wrong. And then also on top of that, the amount of pass interference calls that he got. The Raiders, Derek Carr, are more effective when they stretch the ball down the field. They have 58 plays this season. Over 20 yards. That's tied for the most in NFL history. That's a crazy stat. So why for yes and for no, will DeSean Jackson lead the Raiders in receiving yards this upcoming week? If you're going to sit here and say yes, go ahead and give me a stat prediction. If you're going to say no, I still want some sort of prediction. I'm actually going to go ahead and type my N for no because I could actually see this be a very, very big Hunter Renfrow type of game with them being certain matchups on the outside because Washington stacked up a little bit better with their outside corners. They struggle on the inside. I'm going to go with Hunter Renfrow, but obviously I wouldn't be upset if it's DeSean Jackson either. Let's go to number 4 here, and originally here we're talking about the Raiders' offense. Well, now let's talk about the defense a little bit because as much as the defense has played well early on in the season, the last few weeks they have definitely struggled, giving up 32 to Cincinnati, 33 to the Cowboys, and then 41 to the Chiefs. There's a reason why the Raiders are ranked 30th in the NFL right now in points per game allowed. So my number 4 here is stop Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson's been a running back that I've liked for quite some time when he was first coming out of Memphis, but he's been an absolute workhorse the last 3 weeks. When you look at some of his numbers here, 183 carries, 712 yards, 5 touchdowns. They want to go ahead and they're going to try to use him a lot. And in fact, last week, he even had 7 receptions. You can see where my mind's at right now. But Gibson is averaging 24 carries the past 3 weeks. He had 29 last week. They want to be able to pound the rock. And in fact, last week was the very first time that he had over 100 rushing yards. What also means for the Raiders, they're allowing 125.9 rushing yards per game. That's 25th worst in the NFL. So we all know the biggest weakness for this Raiders defense is the guys up front, and I mean the guys at the defensive tackle, and then having our linebackers be able to stop the run. So if you got to put Jonathan Abram up near the box, go ahead and do it. If Denzel Perriman just sits in the middle and just basically does a running back spy on Antonio Gibson, I'm okay with that unless he goes out for a pass. But you got to stop the run against Washington because they also do a lot of play action, and you don't want Taylor Heinicke to get hot because, well, he's just not good enough to get hot. So 100 rushing yards for Antonio Gibson this week. Over or under? I need you guys to let me know. So if you think he's going to have over, go ahead and type over. If you think he's going to have under, you can go ahead and type U for under. I am, in fact, going to type my U for under simply because he's only done it once this entire year. Sure, it was this past week, but I see the Raiders showing up in this game, being ready to rock and roll, so go ahead and type your U for under. Now, if you guys ever want to hit me up on IG, if you want to talk to me about something you saw in a video or maybe some news and rumors, maybe a mailbag I did earlier in the week, you can always hit me up, ask me your questions. Don't be afraid to slide in my DMs at MitchellRenz365. All right, guys, my final key to victory up against the football team. Let's pick off Taylor Heinicke. And when I think about when Heinicke is at his best, believe it or not, he's actually a pretty athletic dude. And I've been impressed by his ability to really take over this Washington offense, and he's starting to get a little bit more in a groove. Now he's going to have his tight end Logan Thomas. He's going to have Curtis Samuel this week. And on top of that, you got Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is a very tough dude to cover. Luckily, we have Casey Hayward, and I have confidence in that. The reason why I'm saying you got to pick off Taylor Heinicke is because he's very similar to Derek Carr, where if he gets frustrated and he gets in his emotions, he's a totally different quarterback. But if he gets that swagger and he starts getting a hot hand and he can use that play action because they're running the ball effectively with Antonio Gibson, that's what I simply do not want to see. And when you intercept Heinicke, believe it or not, since Washington is not the best team offensively and defensively, they've been playing better of late. But Washington is 2-5 this season. When the opposing team picks off Heinicke, it sets up a shorter field, it leads to more points on the board, and Washington's been doing a halfway decent job with their offense that they have and with quarterback Heinicke, but still, the Raiders have a better top-to-bottom team. So Heinicke in 5 wins, okay? Washington's 5 wins, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. In Washington's 6 losses, he's got 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. It's not rocket science. If you can pressure any quarterback, if you can get in their face, if you can make them uncomfortable, they are going to struggle, and obviously that's going to lead to better things for this Raiders offense. But if you pick off Heinicke and we got a short field, I want touchdowns, so show me those TDs. I don't want no field goals. So the last question I'm going to ask you guys, actually, that's a total lie. Like this video if the Raiders are going to pick off Heinicke. I'm going to like the video. Hopefully like 100 people that come across this video, maybe a few thousand from what I see from my views. Also, go ahead and like the vid. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. All right, one more time here, guys. My 5 keys to victory up against the football team. Let Derek Carr cook, and speaking of letting something cook, what should I eat for dinner tonight because I'm already hungry? Score in the red zone. Got to start converting. Use D-Jax. Stop Antonio Gibson and crack open a Heinicke while we're picking off Taylor Heinicke. So those were my 5. Wow, guys, what is happening with me? 5 keys to victory. It's a kind of a tongue twister. So now I want you guys to go ahead and give me one of your keys to victory. I promise I didn't have any Heinicke's yet today, but I might over the weekend. Go ahead. Let me know down in the comments on YouTube. I'm going to be looking, and if you want to send me it on Instagram, Twitter, I'm at MitchellRenz365.